Hi, my name is Rhonda Matarolo. Welcome to my presentation concerning motivational techniques. I hope you enjoy it and that it prompts you to read my paper titled Untenable and Inappropriate Motivational Techniques are Wasting Educational Resources. For the last 10 years, I have been teaching secondary students in a small P-12 school in rural Queensland, and a few years ago I began to question why some adolescents are motivated to complete their work, while others simply are not. What I noticed is that not only are there differences between the motivational requirements of junior and senior secondary students, but my own techniques, taught to me at university, mentored by other teachers, and suggested in many pedagogical textbooks, do not actually work for motivating all of my students. And this is the important note: all of my students, not just those who are actually self-motivated. The next thing I noticed was that this is the case in many classrooms in many schools, and while it is obvious that no educator purposely ignores the needs of any of their students, it is occurring, and could be due to teachers not having the necessary knowledge of how each of their charges can be motivated, can motivate themselves, or how they can be demotivated. The next step I took was to discover what the students themselves thought, so I asked them for their own opinions about motivation. The first answer they gave me to the question, what motivates them, was chocolate, so I refined my questions. The responses you will see are those the students themselves supplied to the questions I had asked them when I became interested in this phenomena. What is it that motivates some students and not others? Through research, anecdotal evidence, and questioning the students themselves, I discovered the answers lie firmly within them, to be precise, in their brains. And depending on a student's age, their frontal lobe development, and the production of brain chemicals such as dopamine, some motivational techniques will work and others will actually demotivate them. The questions that follow were asked in 2011. All the students were happy to answer them and gave candid and sometimes surprising responses. Unless stated, all answers are from students in years 9 and 10. Answers included, if you're smart, they're good. I hate them, but I know that's because I'm no good at them. I'd like them if I was. And I think if you knew you could win, the spelling bee for example, then that excitement would be motivating. But I wouldn't be excited if I didn't think I would win it. Answers to this question included, I'd like to find things out for myself, but I like when we get exams because that's over really quickly. Another one, exams because I get better results when I do them. The last one, I like exams when we don't have to study for them. Answers to this question included some of it, algebra no. I don't like science and I don't think I'm ever going to be using it. I don't like SOS, and we won't ever use anything from that. And the last one, it depends on what you want to become. The answers to the next question were interesting and varied. However, what is interesting to note are the not-so-subtle differences between those students who are in years 9 and 10 and those in senior secondary, and it is these differences that gave me the focus for my paper. Answers to this question also included, because if you don't do it, you're going to be lacking something that everybody else has. School is already designated for work, so you might as well do it then, so you don't have to do it at home. And I don't want to be dumb for the rest of my life. The same question posed to Year 12 students gave very different answers, and 87% of students mentioned learning for the sake of learning, especially in those subjects that they deemed useful for real life, like Maths A, and the critical literacy stuff in English, but nothing else, and home economics and health and physical education received many votes. Most of the Year 9 and 10 students responded to this question with negative answers, but a few girls in Year 10 had answers like, to get an education, I don't want to be limited by a lack of knowledge, and I want to earn lots of money and be rich. You don't get that by being stupid. The answers you have heard and read inspired me to look into the area of motivation, and conference topic and track notwithstanding, I really do consider it my job to educate all students in my classroom, not only those who are already motivated to work, and I also detest wasting my time on techniques that simply cannot work. So I was shocked and not only a bit dismayed to realise that not only were my instincts not that accurate in knowing what were the best ways to motivate every one of my students, neither were the tried and true carrot and stick or reward and punishment strategies that we were all taught to use and probably all experienced ourselves in our own education. The first of the inappropriate techniques are those under the banner of the stick. These include using fear, coercion, and threats. These, and I regret even calling them teaching techniques, cannot cause positive reactions in our students, and they can act as a dopamine suppressant and stultify our students' ability to learn. The so-called carrot techniques at least sound positive, and they can cause positive outcomes when used as a motivator when low cognitive learning is required, such as in rote learning or in cloze exercises. This is the same with any reward system being used. As it should, the paper also deals with practices that are effective in helping students become self and intrinsically motivated. These include techniques such as flow, which occurs when the student is absorbed in the task at hand and is challenged but can see a chance of success. In fact, self-efficacy, when the student feels they have a 50-50 chance of success in the completion of the task, also forms part of the flow concept. The next mechanism of intrinsic motivation resides in the area of mutual respect, and as Brophy suggests, can be created by the teacher if he or she can lead rather than command, show rather than tell, be a mentor, empower rather than overpower, and emphasises cooperative work rather than competitive control. When a child is a student of such a teacher, the fourth aspect of intrinsic motivation is also likely to exist, that of a safe learning environment. We must eliminate fear, all fear, and while this seems obvious, and we all naturally endeavour to ensure this occurs in our classrooms, it is the implicit forms of fear that can exist without us even being aware of it. For example, fear can also be in the form of dread, dreading the next competitive academic situation, especially when a student feels he or she does not have a chance of success. As we are all completing our master's degree, it would be fair to suggest that most of us had positive experiences as students and succeeded in schoolwork, even in competitive academic sports such as spelling bees, maths challenges, and so forth, while others experienced the same encounters as painful or at best not enjoyable. As adults, we tend to reproduce our own views, formed when we were students. We then apply it to teaching our students. Consequently, we may be operating from unexamined assumptions. The questions I use to discover the flaws in my own teaching techniques are not difficult, and I invite you to explicitly ask your own students similar questions. One point to make: they have to trust that you are not trying to manipulate them or trick them. And don't only ask those students who are performing well in your class, you want the whole story, from both those who are motivated and most definitely from those who are not. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation and are motivated to read my paper.